How do designers improve their design to work around flaws in human logic? We read the book, The Design of Everyday Things by Don Norman. The book explores the need for human-centered design and uses various subjects from psychology to art to offer useful frameworks for designers to make things with the user in mind. Our summary covers the 5 principles of good design, how to bridge the gulf between a product and a user's understanding, a framework for human-centered design, and a case study on how human-centered design could have saved the Susan B. Anthony coin. Plus, more insights like the 7 stages of action framework, how human memory impacts design, how 4 key constraints impact design, and why designers must resist the temptation of feature-itis to add unnecessary features to an already great product in our written summary. So, what makes good design? Norman says the 2 most important features of good design are discoverability and understanding. How do you figure out what actions are possible and how to perform them? And what does it all mean? How is the product supposed to be used? What do all the different controls and settings mean? Discoverability comprises 5 fundamental psychological concepts, which are also Norman's 5 principles of good design. Number 1, affordances, like how a chair affords support so it affords sitting. Number 2, signifiers, like a flat panel on a door that signifies pushing. Number 3, constraints, or impose limitations on design that can either be physical, cultural, semantic, and logical. Number 4, mappings, like ordered switches on the wall that correlate with the order of lights on the wall. And number 5, feedback, which is the communication of an action. So, how come design fails? When people use any product, they face 2 gulfs. The gulf of execution, where they try to figure out how a product operates, and the gulf of evaluation, where they try to figure out what happened. The role of the designer is to help people bridge these 2 gulfs. Norman says that the gulf of evaluation is small when the device provides information about itself in a form that is easy to receive and interpret. This should also match the way a person thinks about the system. The 6th principle of good design is the conceptual model of the system, or the explanation of how something works. Designers can bridge a user's gulf of evaluation through the use of feedback to communicate an action and a conceptual model to explain the system. Gulf of execution can be bridged with signifiers to indicate what actions are possible, impose limitations via constraints, mappings that indicate relationships, and a conceptual model to explain it all. So, how do you incorporate good design into everything you do? Norman shares a framework to guide designers called human-centered design. Norman says this is the process of ensuring that people's needs are met, that the resulting product is understandable and usable, that it accomplishes the desired tasks, and that the experience of use is positive and enjoyable. To conduct your own human-centered design, follow these 4 steps. Number 1, observe. Research people as they use products and behave as they normally would. The goal is to understand the nature of a problem. Number 2, generate ideas. Get creative, question everything, and generate a lot of ideas with no regard for constraints. 3, prototype. Build a quick prototype or mock-up of each potential solution to see if they are reasonable. Number 4, test. Gather a group of 5 people that resemble the target demographic and study them individually as they test your design. After you analyze those tests, conduct another test group of 5 individuals and continue from there. Now, let's put this plan in action. Why did millions of Americans confuse the Susan B. Anthony dollar coin with the pre-existing quarter, yet nobody confused the new $20 bill with the identically sized $1 bill? Because all notes in America are the same size. Americans subconsciously determined that size was not a factor by which to differentiate notes. Coins, on the other hand, are frequently differentiated by size. Norman shared this as an example of design principles that appeared good in theory, but failed when introduced to the messy practicality of the real world. To avoid this in your own projects, incorporate human-centered design. In the case of the coin, if designers didn't want Americans to get confused, they could have prototyped it, tested it, and realized it would have to be a different size. To gain more insights, frameworks, and case studies from the design of everyday things, read our full summary. Thank you so much for watching.